Hey guys, welcome back to the Technobabble podcast. But before we get into this next episode, I just wanted to remind you guys that we're now a part of Patreon. Someone has to pay the bills to help to keep this shit free. And I don't mind taking the money out of my own pocket, but I've got lots of cool shit I want to do, fun content I want to create, and I think you guys will enjoy it. I know I'll enjoy it. And if you like the same kind of shit I do, then I can guarantee you're probably going to enjoy it too. But the bottom line is this: in order for all of that fun stuff to happen and for it to happen quicker, and for this podcast and its affiliated content to grow, I'm going to need some help. So if you can part with just a few dollars a month, head on over to patreon.com/Technobabble podcast. Every little bit helps, guys, and there's even some cool rewards. So if you pledge over a certain amount, you'll get some cool kind of things. So check that out over there. Anyway, head over there, check it out. If you can, please help us out. All of your questions will be answered over there, but if they aren't, hit me up whenever. Hit me up on Twitter at the Technobabble, or visit our website, technobabblepodcast.com. There's a contact form there you can reach us at also. And for those of you that can't help out, I understand. It's fine. Just you listening is more than enough. But if you can help out, then that's great. You're helping support something that means a whole lot to me, and that I hope will mean a whole lot to a lot of other people one day. So anyway, head on over there, help us out on Patreon if you can, yeah, I guess that's it. Let's get on with the show now.
Welcome to the Technobabble podcast. Enjoy!
Hey guys, I'm Kirk. Welcome back with another edition of the Technobabble podcast. And today I'm here with the guys from Black Shell Media, Daniel Doan and Raghav Mathur. Hey guys, how you doing today?
Hey, pretty good.
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great, man. It's been kind of a busy day, but I'm finally glad to get down and sit and talk with you guys. I got to tell you, I saw one of your posts on Twitter. It came through my Twitter feed. I think it was something along the lines of 10 simple mistakes indie developers should avoid, things like that. And I got to tell you, anytime I see something that relates to independent game developing or small time business, things like that, it kind of grabs my attention. And so I looked at you guys, and I saw that you guys you're like correct me here, you're a marketing and publishing studio that helps people get their games noticed, or am I on the right track there? Is that what it's about?
Yeah, pretty much. So that's kind of the main our main offering, if you will. We do a couple of things, but that's one of the main things that we do. We actually started off developing games 2.5 years ago. We developed our first game called Sanctuary RPG. It's a retro text-based ASCII RPG that my partner here, Daniel, started working on. I joined him maybe like a half a year later, was it, Daniel? Something like that, I think.
Yeah.
A couple months later, I joined him. And we've continued to develop it to this day, but during the development process, we encountered a lot of challenges as far as marketing and stuff goes. And, we obviously adapted to the challenges. We tried our best to learn the ins and outs of the marketing and publishing world. And so now we decided, let's take what we learned and kind of help out people that are where we were once.
Yeah, for sure. Even as a podcaster, I'm kind of new to this whole thing myself. And when I got started doing podcasting, I'm like, all right, this will just be something I do for fun, right? And then I realized, this could grow into something really cool and big and exciting. But you never really, at least for me, I never really thought about all the marketing and all the behind the scenes work that went behind. Like right now, the recording of this podcast, that this part is only a small percentage of what goes into producing the content I create. And I know that's the same for many businesses, and game developers. The behind the scenes work, the marketing, the tweets, the websites, all that stuff is it's tough work, especially if you have no clue what you're doing,
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely tough to break into. And that's why I think a lot of, if you look right at the Silicon Valley, bigger kind of more traditional startups, if you will, a lot of these guys, they're brilliant coders. They create apps, they create programs, they create interfaces that people want to use. But they have no idea how to run a business. So that's why you hear stories about people taking guys who used to work at, LinkedIn or Google or big companies, and these startups hire them to basically be the CEO for their company and just kind of run everything so they can focus on doing what they do best, which is, making apps or making software. And for you and me, it's the same thing, right? Game developers want to develop games. You want to, make podcasts. And so what we do at Black Shell Media is try and let developers develop instead of having to try and be a jack of all trades.
So exactly what is it that you guys what do you do for, like, for example, I have a game that I've developed maybe using Unity or something like that, and I want to get it out there. I want to promote it. I want to even try to get it on Steam or some other game related app like that. How do you guys help with that?
So basically, what we like to think of ourselves as is your kind of marketing partner from start to finish in the game development lifecycle. So it's never one thing that we always tell our clients or just kind of anyone that's looking to get into the industry is it's never too early to start marketing your game. Whether you just you were sitting on the toilet one day and had a brilliant idea for a game, or you have been working on something for a couple of weeks or something like that, and it's kind of incipient. It's never too early to start getting the word out and just talking to people, saying, hey, I thought of this idea. What do you think about it? I started working on this prototype. What do you think about it? And like, no matter if you just came up with this idea and you want to start making something happen, or if you've been working on a game for 3 years and it's kind of stalling, we kind of come in and just put the word out there, because a lot of people have trouble with finding a community and finding a fan base for their games, especially gamers that have retro games are kind of more niche titles, like kind of Sanctuary RPG was, because like I mentioned, it's a retro ASCII based RPG, kind of like NetHack or Zork, and you're probably thinking, what the heck, it's it's 2015, why are you developing an ASCII game? But you'd be surprised. That game's gotten almost like 500,000 downloads, I think, last I checked. It's gotten a lot of press attention, a lot of media attention. And it's all about just finding the niche and appealing to it. And that's what we kind of help aspiring developers do. Because for a lot of people, it's just, I have this great idea for a game and I like games like it, but I have no idea how do I find people that are like me, that like these games, and get them to download mine instead of other people's. So we kind of help people, for everything from kind of market research, market analysis, to actually identifying, these websites are frequented by fans of the space RPG genre or something. We should, advertise on this site. Or, I just emailed the editor at this press website. He'd love to do a feature on your game. And kind of, finding that audience and what really sticks.
Right. Well, there's one thing I've noticed, especially over the last, 5 or so years, maybe even a little bit longer than that, with the internet growing so much, with the internet growing so much and becoming, it's a lot easier for guys like me and you and everyone else out there, all the independent developers, to create content, whatever it is, be it a podcast, a video game, or a website, anything like that. And a lot of people, I think, at least when I first started, it was like, what am I going to talk about, or what can I put out there that hasn't already been created or hasn't already been done? Or, can I even do it better? A lot of people are, I think, scared to take that first step. And maybe some of that is they're scared of the marketing part, or like, even if I do this, how do I get it out there? So it's kind of that first step is always the hardest to take. But, if there's one thing I've learned, man, like there's, just like podcasts, video games, there's a niche for everything. I mean, if you've got something, there's an audience for it, I think. And it's all about, like you said, trying to find the right, market it to the right crowd, or get the right group of people that you're focusing on to notice it. So one of the things I wanted to ask you guys, though, like specifically, one of the cool things I think you guys have is you guys have some helpful articles on your website. I'm going to plug it for you here, blackshellmedia.com. And I was wondering, like, I could sit here and people can definitely, I want people to go and read these things that you've posted, but if you just want to kind of give some previews or some freebies, I guess, for people out there, like, for example, you've got things of how to get your press emails noticed, by gaming sites, or things like I said earlier, the mistakes, 10 mistakes you should avoid. Can you kind of talk about that and give some people some kind of a little free advice?
Sure. So basically, I kind of started off writing those articles since, back when I was starting out, I basically turned to Google and, searched like, how do I do this? How do I do that? Well, with the blog, it's like, well, I can finally give back, some of that advice, I guess. And, I guess the takeaway from I guess all of the blog articles, is that, just work really hard. I mean, like there's a lot of game developers that I've talked to over the years, and they're like, I kind of work, or I kind of want to make a career doing games, this and that, but when it comes time to like hitting that pavement and doing the work, they're quite frankly not putting enough effort into it, and so I guess a recurring theme from the blog post is that you have to give it your 110%, otherwise it's not going to happen.
And I think another big thing, if you don't mind me jumping in real quick, is, like Daniel mentioned, giving back to the community, looking on Google for free answers. One of the awesome things about the indie game community that we certainly strive to propagate at Black Shell Media is kind of the fact that it is just that, a community. It's a people all with a similar mindset that, let's break away from kind of working for, quote unquote, the man, break away from these big titles and kind of do our own thing. We can take it in any direction we want. There are people who see video games as an art. There are people who see video games as a cash cow. There are people who kind of just want to do it for fun. But the important thing is that everyone wants to do it. Everyone wants to be making video games. And so the one piece of advice I guess I'd give people is don't hesitate to ask for help. If for example, if you were trying to, I can't think of something. If you're trying to design a cell phone, for example, you think, I have this brilliant idea for a cell phone and I want to make it. If someone came up to you and said, you should go email Tim Cook at Apple or something and ask him what he thinks about making cell phones, like, you laugh at him. You think that's crazy. Why would he reply to me? He's not going to talk to me. And he's not going to talk to you because he's got 1,000,000,001 things to do and he doesn't care about, creating more competition, if you will. We actually wrote a blog post about this, but the awesome thing about indie gaming is that if you email someone like Daniel or myself, we'll be like, let me tell you how to make a game. Let me tell you how to, walk through the marketing process. We offer free consultations to developers, and we love doing it because we don't see other games as competition. We see them as kind of enhancing the community, because the way I look at it is not, if someone comes to, play a game, they're going to buy one game and one game only, and that better be my game. The awesome thing about indie games is I see people on Steam, they have, hundreds if not thousands of games that they're just waiting to play. And if you're trying to sell, for example, you're trying to sell cars, right? There you're going to have to be wary of competition because you buy one car or two cars usually and you're kind of done for it. You don't sit around with 150 cars sitting around in your garage. But with indie games, it could be like, I've got 200 games on Steam. I'd love to, play more games. And so the awesome thing is that by kind of helping out the community and enhancing other people's games, we inadvertently enhance our own games by strengthening the community as a whole.
One thing I want to ask you guys real quick. I want to kind of off topic, but still kind of in the same general area code here. I was actually thinking about this earlier, and I even wrote a blog post on a website. It's been, I guess, a month or two now, but I've been thinking about it for a while. And I wonder what your take is on this. My opinion, what do you think about early access releases? Like Steam's Greenlight thing is a big thing now. Getting the alpha version of the game and a lot of I think a lot of indie game companies now and even AAA titles are coming out with beta access or alpha access. Those words have kind of dissolved to mean like the same thing these days, but but at any rate, like in my opinion, I think in some ways it's good, but in other ways, for example, take Evolve. Like Evolve was so like heavily promoted and heavily supported, and everybody from YouTubers to Twitch streamers, it was out there. Everyone was seeing this game before it was available to the public, and so by the time I think it got released, I mean I don't know, I'm just kind of throwing this out there, but I kind of feel like it lost a little bit of value by the time it was finally released. Do you think there's value in releasing games early, or do you think it's kind of depends on the game? Is there a right way or wrong way? I mean, what are kind of your thoughts on that?
So I guess with my personal experience with early access, like it kind of seems like most developers just want some beta testers, to like test their game that's like half done. Mm-hmm. So they'll kind of rush it out in early access, and that's kind of the wrong way to like go about it, because it's like, you're showing the public this like half finished game, and obviously you're gonna get negative feedback from that, and so sometimes they won't even want to like finish it. So I definitely think that early access is good if paired with the right development process, but unfortunately so many developers out there just treat it as, I'm going to cash out here, or I'm going to use this as a dumping ground for beta testers, and that's definitely not the right way to like go about things.
I think it's kind of an interesting dilemma, because like Daniel mentioned, some people see it as, I can get free beta tests, I can get free feedback on my game, whatever, and that is true. We got some, when we put Sanctuary RPG on early access, we got some fantastic feedback, fantastic suggestions, fantastic bug fixes from our fans, but we didn't do it just to get, because it's not hard to find people to play your game and tell you what's good or what's bad about it. You can walk up to any kid in the block and say, hey, you want to play a game for an hour? It's like, oh sure, I'd love to. I think what's more important is just kind of like I hinted at earlier, indie game marketing and just kind of getting a successful game is about growing a community. And the awesome thing about indie gaming and the way that, alpha testing and beta testing and early access works is that it kind of encourages that community to form, because now it's not just, the developer made the game and gave the game to me. Now it's, I'm part of actually making the game. I'm sitting here talking with the developer in a forum. He's saying, he's calling me, referring to me by my first name. I'm talking to this guy, Daniel. It's not just, the developer of Call of Duty or whatever just put out a new patch. Cool. This is actually, I sat with him, and when I see that feature in the bug fix list, I see, I pointed that out. I feel good about that. Because now by involving people in the development process, because the idea of early access is, you're still actively developing it, trying to get it finalized. By involving the community in that and making it public and front facing, you get such a strong community and fan base about your game. I mean, regardless of the fact that Steam is, the biggest PC gaming market, and you will get a lot of downloads and attention, just the quality of the attention that you get, because it takes a certain caliber of gamer to play early access games. They have to believe in the game. They have to believe in the developer. And the partnerships, the community, even I'd say, the personal relationships that you generate with these people is incomparable, because here it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of an awesome feeling. You're sitting here thinking, I just made this thing and people love it and they want to help me on it. Like, you don't feel like you're a developer kind of giving stuff to the audience. You feel like you're making stuff with the audience. And I think that's really magical right there.
Anytime I can create, I can put things out there that helps the small guys, the people like me and you, who aren't part of a AAA team or aren't part of Google or Apple or something like that, or Sony or whatever it may be. We still have a voice and we still matter, and people still want to play our shit, right? Like you guys are actually, I wanted to talk about it. People that may be listening to this are probably going, okay, Black Shell Media, I've never actually heard of them. They say they can help me, but what's their resume? How can prove it to me, I guess, so to speak. But if you guys wanted to check it out, you can on your website, and I didn't even actually know you guys had done this many things, but you've got a lot of clients, it looks like Farspace Studios, Ancestry, small indie companies some people probably haven't heard of, but nevertheless still a large range of clientele. So I guess the point is, if that many people are willing to go to you guys, and then the numbers, I guess, should speak for themselves. But also, if you guys want to throw in your own little 2 cents, what can you, I don't want to say promise people, right? Maybe that's the wrong word. But, and I know, if someone's thinking about, hey, I want to reach out and I need some help, right? Because I can't make this game and develop this game and market it myself. But how can I trust these guys? Because there's a lot of kind of scams and things out there in the internet world, and I want to make sure I'm pointing people in the right direction. So, in your own words, if you don't mind, enlighten us a little bit.
I guess when it boils down to it, it's just kind of we don't see ourselves as this big kind of corporation that's working with multiple clients. We see ourselves as a grassroots marketing studio that's very passionate about their craft, that works with partners, not clients. It's kind of
right.
It's a small change in terminology. We refer to them as partners, not clients as much. But it means a lot, because, like I mentioned, indie gaming is all about working together, about collaboration, about sharing of ideas. And I'm sure podcasting, entrepreneurship is all the same thing. Companies like Snapchat, Vine, even big companies now like Facebook, Google, and all, they wouldn't be where they are today if they hadn't started off with a couple guys sitting around a table like, okay, how can we make this better? How can we make this good? And so that's what I like to do when I work with clients. Is I don't like to just sit there and say, okay, I'm going to do this for the money. Here's your press release, and I'm going to send it out. I like to actually, take a look at the game, take a look at the screenshots, take a look at the person, their backstory. I make sure I always ask them, tell me some interesting tidbits about the game, tell me a little bit about yourself and the studio, so I can better understand how I can help you. Because some people, sure, they just want kind of a marketing arm that'll just do what they say. It's like, go do this research for me and send out this press release. Like, okay, cool, I'll do it, fine. But if you want to be that impersonal, that's your prerogative. But the way I like to work, and the way Daniel and I like to work, and that's why we work so well together, is we're both very passionate about the entertainment industry and multimedia and just, video games in general. We both grew up on classic games, Zelda, Mario, NetHack, Zork, all these kind of titles are, very,
right.
Very, I don't know what the word is. They make me feel very old. But
like 8-bit kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of retro stuff. Maybe not 8-bit, but just I'm not that old. Come on, It's a good, it's a good, I like to think about, where I was once. I like, playing these games and creating games. And Daniel also, we grew up on video games. And this is something that we love doing, and that we love creating. And now that, you mentioned it's an internet age, anyone can do it. And I think that's friggin' fantastic. Like,
Of course,
every
yeah.
Joe from the neighborhood can hop up on a computer, grab Game Maker Studio, and put together something fantastic. Like, Hotline Miami, right? That was made in Game Maker Studio. You could theoretically have made that using drag and drop. I mean, obviously, Hotline Miami is a bad example because that's a fucking fantastic game.
It's a great game, yeah.
But it just goes to show that, these tools are so approachable and so simple to use that there's no barrier of entry into the world of game development. Like, if you want to, make electric cars, it's a giant fuck you from the entrepreneurship world, because that requires so much, startup capital and just resources and networks that the average person wouldn't have. But it's 2015. The average person has a computer and a mouse and, half a brain. And so it's easy to make it like a simple platformer. There's so many video tutorials on YouTube. Mm-hmm. It's fantastic. It really is fantastic. The amount of resources and just kind of, I'm digressing a little bit from the original question, but it's so awesome to see that, anyone can hop in and make stuff. And that's where we come in, that we help, anyone that sat down on a computer one day and grabbed Game Maker and said, you know what, I want to make a game. I want to make sure that they can make a game. And that's, that people will play it, because it's one thing to, slave away and spend hours and hours and weeks and even months or maybe years on a game and kind of have something that you're proud of and that you would play. And it's another thing to have something that you spent, years on that 100,000 people are now playing. It's such a satisfying feeling, especially for us when we look at, people that are downloading the game and leaving reviews on Steam. I know one actually, I had a really kind of like holy crap moment the other day. I was sitting with Daniel looking through the Steam reviews for Sanctuary RPG, and when you leave a review on Steam, it tells you how much, like when someone leaves a review on Steam, it tells you how many hours of the game they've played. Yeah. And some guy left a review, like totally raving review. He loved it. He said, "Oh, this game is fantastic. I love the crafting. I love combat. This, that. It's a fantastic game." Hours played, 150. And I was like, holy crap, I don't think I've even played 150 hours of our game. Like, seriously. It's so cool just to see people that are, making YouTube videos that are like 30 minutes to an hour long about our game. And, I remember a long time ago, I used to talk to Daniel. I'd be like, yeah, I feel like it's the kind of game that people would, pick up, play for a little bit, think, oh, that's pretty cool, and then kind of leave. But now that it's actually something real, something kind of, I don't want to say tangible because it's not tangible, it's something that's kind of more concrete, and people are playing it, and I can see people playing it and loving it. It's so awesome, and I want people to have that feeling because it feels great. It's euphoric.
Yeah, totally. I have a couple of questions here. I'm gonna ask them simultaneously, but answer them however you want. Question one is, and I've already kind of answered this, in some ways, but, what, you guys, obviously you talked about you were game developers, and then you wanted to kind of, I guess, I don't know, you felt like okay, here's the question. What was there any one thing that made you decide, you know what, instead of making games, so much, we want to help promote other people making games? Like, what kind of, how did that transition happen? And also, a follow-up question is, do you guys ever get approached, and do you ever turn down any offers to promote or to help a video game? Maybe you see a game and it's like, yeah, this thing's just it doesn't look like it's something that we think could be marketable. Or are you guys up for anything? How does that work?
So, I'll start off with the whole transition thing. I think there wasn't really kind of people talk about, why they joined the Peace Corps. They had like a kind of revolutionary moment, like, oh, I want to help people. I don't know if anyone was ever sitting around one day and thought, oh man, I want to market games, like, right. It was kind of more of what's the principle of any business? Supply and demand, right? Yeah. Businesses run on need. We saw a need. We're both kind of, avid businessmen. We said, hey, you know what? Let's capitalize upon this. And it's something that we like doing, when you're a developer, you're sitting there thinking, oh shit, marketing, I want to do that. I hate that. But now for us, it's like, oh yeah, marketing, I want to do that. It's a lot of fun. Like, you would think, you'd think, oh, demographic analysis, SWOT analysis, it's no fun. But once you get used to it, once you're actually used to engaging with the community and kind of forming those connections that I talked about before, it's a lot of fun. Like, even when you watch YouTubers play videos, I mean, I wish I had time to watch the, hundreds of videos that are out on YouTube about our games, but those that I have seen, people are loving it. They're, they're laughing, they're crying, I haven't seen anyone cry yet, but I'm sure people cry. The games are pretty good.
Tears of joy, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. So we hope. People, laughing, crying, playing, sharing with friends, tweeting, retweeting, commenting, whatever it is, however they're engaging. It's a lot of fun to see that happening. And I realized that, with the experience that we had from doing it ourselves and with the kind of resources and network that we were garnering, we could use this to the advantage of both ourselves and the community, because the community doesn't have enough people like us. Like, there are PR firms in the game development industry, but they're few and far in between. And oftentimes they're A, really expensive, and B, really expensive and kind of impersonal. So it's like, I talked about barriers of entry. The barrier of entry to hiring a PR firm is cash. People charge you $2,000 a month as a basic retainer, in which they don't do anything for you. They say like, oh yeah, we're going to do all this press releases and stuff. And they're not transparent. They're not, sharing things with you. They're not working alongside you. They see you as a client, not a partner.
Right.
And that's the kind of thing we wanted to, we looked at some PR firms like that, and they're like, oh yeah, our starting rate is $100 an hour. Our jaws just hit the floor, and we just got the hell out of there.
That to me, that sounds like a low number considering some of the emails and people that have approached me about marketing, things like my podcast and website. Like or when I was on Kickstarter, marketing companies would come to me like, oh, we'll get you out there, we'll do all this marketing for you. Bottom rate's like $400 for this like starter package. I'm like, what the fuck, $400? Like, why do you think I'm starting a Kickstarter, man? So you know what I mean? So like affordability is a huge deal, and so you guys, is that something you guys pride yourselves on, is affordability?
Definitely, that's one of the things we always mention when we're talking to clients or potential clients and partners, publishing partners, distribution partners, whatever it is. We always say we are cheaper than anyone else. Like that. I'm not saying that's the only reason you should hire us. Like, we are good at what we do, I promise. But that's one of the main things that we like to do. And like Daniel was talking about earlier, especially for fledgling developers, it's kind of hard to find the resources and find the people that are willing to help you. So we make sure we put a blog post out. I think just Daniel, what was it, a couple days ago, the free consultation blog post?
Yeah.
Yeah, we put out a blog post just saying, like, if you have questions, we'll gladly, give you free consultation and free marketing help. A couple tweets here or there is not, like, I lose nothing for it. 5 minutes of my time is not worth that much. I'll gladly tweet out your game for you. I'll shoot you an email saying like, oh, I think you should try this strategy or whatever. It's just nice to, I genuinely do like helping people, and I especially like helping people that are doing things that I love too, like making video games. And so that is something that we pride ourselves on, having very cheap or free packages, to kind of tailor to everyone's budget or lack thereof.
Right. So I guess that's a good, no, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it. I was just going to say, so it's a lot of fun, being able to engage with people that way, because, even if you do charge a lot of money, it's possible to make those connections that, you feel like someone's your partner instead of just a client. You feel like someone's, actually connecting with you and liking what you like. But at the same time, in the back of your mind, it's like, oh, I paid $2,000 for this connection. For us, right. It's like, even if we charge someone, I don't know, $100 for something that they would have gladly paid $500 for, they feel good because now that $400 they get to keep and reinvest into their game, which is what we care about. We made enough money to be happy. And now we get that extra $400 of kind of conversational space, because otherwise, because if you're charging someone $2,000 a month, whenever they talk to you, they're just thinking like, oh shit, this is billing into my time. Like, I'm paying, you can probably calculate how much that costs per hour, but if you sit there and talk for an hour, you can think like, shit, that was like $80 right there, like I can't afford this. Whereas with us, it's like, oh, we just just got off a call with Daniel and Raghav. We talked about, beer for an hour. Like, that's cool. We're not going to bill you for that. Like, we're small guys. We're affordable, and we like talking to people. We like engaging with people, and that's what PR should be about. Not just, pay me money and I will get you rich. Like, that's like, what's the point of that?
Yeah, I think you're good. You got a good point there, because like when I was, like, I'm not opposed to marketing, right? Like, if there's somebody out there that can market my shit, I'll do it. But like we said, affordability is very key, especially for us, like a small developer. Because the thing that concerns me when I'm being approached by marketers is, okay, like, is it worth the $400 or whatever the price is, right? Is it worth that? Like, I mean, I have to be able to at least make that back. And even if I just make that back, then that's not worth it, right? And I have to, the price is important, obviously, because if for whatever you put into it, you gotta, shit's not free. You gotta make money off of it. And I mean, I don't want to say it's guaranteed success, right? Because I don't think really anything can be guaranteed. But you guys have a high success rate, I'm sure, right?
Oh yeah, well we had a client that was we hired. They had a game on Greenlight. It had been out for like maybe like a week, maybe 2 weeks, I think, something like that. And it was kind of stalling on Greenlight. It wasn't really going anywhere. They hired us for the Greenlight package. It was like it was a couple $100 for him, I think. And in 10 days of us working on it, he got through Greenlight. Which is fantastic.
Awesome, yeah.
Some guys stay on Greenlight for months and years at a time. And, like you mentioned, it's all about the ROI, right? Return on investment. It's a simple business concept. You spend money, you want to get money back. these
Right.
guys, the way we look at it is like, it doesn't matter like how much we charge, because at the end of the day, you're gonna make a lot more than that back. There was a case study that I refer to a lot. I really shouldn't know what the fuck the game is, but some guy made a game. It was like moderately successful, and he put a case study out about, his sales and stuff. And he said that in the first 3 months of releasing on Steam, he got lucky. He got in like the summer sale. He got some good timing in terms of promotion and stuff. In the first 3 months on Steam, he made $130,000. $130,000 in 3 months.
Holy cow.
That's a lot of friggin' money.
That's more than I make in a year.
It's freaking crazy. It's like, damn, I want to make that kind of money.
Right.
So like when I tell potential partners about it, I'm like, sure, the services may seem kind of expensive because you are an indie and, it's about making things happen with little money. That's kind of the magic of it. But at the end of the day, sometimes you got to spend money to get money back. And if it's a question of, should I spend $500 now or, $400 or however much the marketing guy was saying, should I spend $400 now if it means I can get, 6 digits later? Like, hell yeah. But if it's just, should I spend $400 now so I can cry about it in the shower? Like, fuck no. You got to think about the advantage of it.
Right. So wrapping back around to the other question I asked, we kind of skewed off of it a little bit, which is fine. But getting back to it. So yeah, do you guys ever say no to anyone, or are you guys is it open forum? And you bring us your shit and we'll do our absolute damnedest to get it out there.
It's kind of tricky. I like to say that we never say no, but we can say no, if you will. Because especially when you comes to things, indie game development and, kind of startups, a lot of people work on equity, right? You do the services for me, I don't have cash, but I'll give you 10% of my company. It's like, okay, sure, but if you want that 10% to be worth your time, you have to, put the effort and passion into it to make it work. And it's kind of a vicious cycle because, you're demotivated to put the work in to get that 10%, because it's only, you have an equity instead of cash. And so you do less work, and so that 10% kind of gets farther and farther away. So it's kind of a vicious cycle of nothing happening and you getting, piss broke. But the thing with publishing games in terms of taking a revenue share cut is you have to be really passionate about the game. It's one thing to be passionate about what you do and kind of be able to, write a press release or something. And it's another thing to be passionate enough to devote, 5 to 6 hours every single day, talking to people on Reddit, growing the Twitter accounts and things like that for a game, on a revenue sharing basis. And so for that, it is kind of a little more, it's hard for us to say yes, because we're basically, when we sign that contract with them, we're basically signing away a lot of our time and a lot of our energy. And I want to make sure that the things that do it are really kind of, God, this sounds pretentious, are really worth my time, if that makes sense.
No, of course, yeah.
I've got a limited number of hours in a day, unfortunately, and I wish I could help everybody for free, man. That would be awesome. We just have games everywhere. But, a man's got to eat and a man's got to, not be up 24/7, 365. So you got to kind of be a little selective when it comes to that. But as far as just, the average, if you come to us asking for some demographic research or, press release, things like that, most people we can do that for, because like I said, there's a niche for everyone. It's just a question of kind of, put out a bunch of feelers, see what sticks. That's kind of the best. A lot of people get hung up about, traditional marketing. You see people with MBAs or whatever coming into indie gaming, they're like, oh, we got to do it all by the book, do analysis, hypothesis, do tests, theories, this, that, and I just sit here thinking, what the fuck? Why would you do that? Just try a bunch of stuff. Don't spend too much. See what happens.
Right.
That's the whole fun of it. That's the whole fun of entrepreneurship and being indie. Do you think the guys at Google were sitting there that day in the garage thinking, oh yeah, one day we're going to be one of the biggest companies in the world? Heck no. They were like, yeah, let's make a fun little product. Let's see what happens with it. And, let's try something new. Google, one of the things that is really cool about Google, I don't know if you know this or if your listeners know this, they have a lot of products. And when I say a lot of products, I mean a lot of products.
Yeah.
The main ones Gmail, Drive, Calendar, stuff like that. That's just the tip.
They also own Android.
They do. They own Android. They own they're starting the self-driving cars and stuff. They got Google Maps, Google Earth going on. They have Google Scholar. You can look up papers and stuff. Google Sites, Google Keep. They own Blogger. They have Google Code. A bunch of. I think actually Google Code is shutting down, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
I think it's I read it. It's going to stay open. If you've got content on there, I think, or it's gonna remain archived for X amount of months. I don't know, and then after that, they're gonna kind of shut it down completely. So they're kind of slowly shutting it down.
Phasing it out. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Back to the point. They a bunch, and they have much more. These ones that I'm reading off, you can find them on the website and stuff. But they have so many more products that never stuck. And part of growing as a company, as a startup, and as an entrepreneur is, trying different things out and just finding something that you're good at, finding something that works, and then developing that. Because no one goes in right off the bat saying, oh, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to stick to that vision, and I'm not going to change it ever. Because that your business is destined to fail. A hallmark of, not a hallmark, what's the word? Like a clear indicator, if you will, of a successful business is having an owner who's willing to change and adapt with the market or adapt with what the customers want.
Exactly.
Overture, when we launched it on Steam, within the first week or so, Daniel, how many fucking people gave us suggestions and comments on what to do about the game?
A lot of people.
A lot of people. We can't count. It was so many people. And the game.
Everybody's a critic, they say, right?
Everybody's a critic, but everyone's also really good at giving us suggestions. And the game looked nothing like what we'd intentionally, wanted it to be. We ended up doing a complete environment overhaul because people seemed to want that, and we put it out there and people loved it. And if we were just sitting here kind of developing ourselves, would we have thought of that? Maybe not. But just, being open to adapting, kind of putting your ego aside and not thinking that, what you know best is really a vital skill to have when it comes to startups. And I'm sure as a podcaster, you got to kind of, see it's a mixture of what you want, but also what the listeners want, but also what the market wants. And you have to you got to balance everything,
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I've kind of gone on. I think I've mentioned Kevin Smith in every single podcast I've done, so I feel kind of obligated to do it now. But what you're saying, actually, Kevin Smith has been a huge inspiration to me. I can't speak. I've probably followed at least 85 to 90% of his work, and he's got a lot of shit out there. But one of the things he talked about on one of his podcasts, I think it was a podcast, maybe it was an interview, it was something he did, was the things that he created. He had his art, he had his stories to tell, he had his movies to make, the things he wanted to do that he was passionate about, right? And you got to have that passion, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, he realized that the people who were giving him money, the people that were putting that money in his pocket and putting the food on his table, those opinions matter, right? Because if they don't like the content you're providing, or if they're not, they gotta you gotta give back, right? Because if you're asking for money, then you gotta take into consideration, you can't just be an asshole, for lack of a better term, and be like, all right, give me your money, and then I'm still not even gonna listen to you. I'm gonna do whatever I want, because
take
that's
this right here. That's shitty, dude.
Yeah, you're not gonna be successful that way. And so yeah, he mentioned that, which I think alludes to your point there, and totally 100%. I think you gotta, if you want to be successful, you have to listen to your audience, right? You don't have to listen to all of them, right? Some of them are assholes, but
a lot of them are.
but you have to, the people. I think the people that give you money, and maybe not even in an entrepreneur, maybe you work a 40-hour-a-week job, I still do. My bosses, the guys that pay me to run their shop, making them happy and doing what they want, managing the shop. I mean, I could manage it myself, but if I'm not doing it the way they want it to be done, then they're going to fire me, right? So I have to, respect what they want and their wishes and their needs, because they're the ones that are giving me the money. Now, ultimately, if I'm not happy with it, or if it's something I internally disagree with, or have some sort of issues against, whatever it may be, then I'll find another job. But aside from that, right, the people that give you the money, you got to listen to them. And so I think to an extent that's very, very true.
It's all about the conversation that you have. No business just runs kind of putting stuff out there. Everyone's taking feedback. Everyone's giving feedback, collaborating, all about the community.
It is. It's all about the community. And on that note, what can you guys talk about in terms of your community? How have you seen yourselves grow?
Oh, so like I mentioned, we've been around for 2.5 years. I think Daniel started developing Sanctuary alone 2.5 years ago. I hopped on the summer after that. So yeah, just coming up on 2 years ago, I think. At the time, we were just kind of dicking around, excuse my French, just kind of not sure what we're doing, trying to figure out, maybe we'll make a Twitch account, maybe we'll do live streams every day, maybe we'll make YouTube videos, maybe we'll do this, that, kind of, not sure what to do. And the difference between that and what I was talking about earlier, where you got to try different things out, is that then we had no idea how to do any of that stuff, It's good to try different things, but if you're just kind of, diving in, without any clue whatsoever about how to run a YouTube channel or how to, run Twitch live streams, it's not going to go well for you, I'll put it that way.
Well, or at least there's going to be a lot of trial and error, right? And you could just skip to go to the guys who've done it before and say, hey, what the fuck should I do? And they'll be like, look, I've done this. Trust me. I've spent thousands of hours, wasted thousands of hours. you don't want to do this. Trust me, do that. So those are the guys you need to look for. And that's one of the reasons I brought you guys on, because I felt like you're those type of people, right?
Yeah, we've tried we've tried a lot of things. Everything from like Google AdWords to I don't even know, to like live chat on our website. And like some things work, some things didn't, some things are too damn expensive, some things just didn't work a lot. So
right.
We kind of it's just it's a lot about getting lucky. It's a lot about just trying different things out, seeing what sticks. And a big part of it, you talked about how have we grown over time. This is something that comes kind of with time, with trying different things out. You kind of figure out what you're good at. Like one thing that Daniel and I strive to do all the time in our business, and that we completely encourage other entrepreneurs to do, is look at 2 words: core competencies. It's like, what do you bring to the table, to put it simply, and how can that mesh with other people? Like, for example, at the beginning when we started developing, Daniel's core competency was the programming, the game design of it, the game design side of Sanctuary, but he didn't know much about social media marketing at the time. I knew a lot about PR, social media marketing, how to talk to people. So we said, okay, look, Raghav, you do the social media marketing, Daniel, you do the programming. Cool. We got thousands of downloads just that way. It's all about doing what you're comfortable with, and kind of over time you can become more familiar with your skill set, if you will. Mm-hmm. And kind of that's the whole point of like a resume, right? You see like, oh, I tried this, I tried that, and now I'm applying for a job in this because I took all those things, drew upon them, figured out what I'm good at, figured out how I mesh well with other companies, other roles, and other kind of work styles, if you will. I don't know, like different ways of rolling. Everyone has a different MO, right?
Right.
And once you identify that, you're able to kind of capitalize upon it and exploit it to the fullest extent. I have no idea what the fuck we were talking about. But anyway, I'll just get like we were talking about changing as a person, right? Like development and stuff. So it was a lot of kind of, I don't want to say soul searching, if you will, to put it poetically, but it was a lot of kind of looking at our core competencies, looking at what we like to do, looking at what we're good at doing, hoping that those line up, and kind of doing it. It
right.
gets that simple.
Well, no, and you're right. Like I think I guess like you said, everyone has their own MO, and but. For a lot of the guys I've interviewed or I've talked to, and the friends I've got, and even for myself personally, or just my own inspirational, like for example Kevin Smith, people I listen to and that inspire me. What you mentioned there was soul searching, right? Like I think you kind of said that offhandedly, but I think there's some real truth in that, because for me, well, I mean maybe it's just the point in my life. I'm 28 years old. And if you'd asked me 10 years ago, where are you going to be when you're 28 years old, I would have never told you I'd be doing this, right? Yeah. So like, for me, it is a little bit of soul searching, and that's part of what my podcast is about, honestly, is, soul searching, finding out what you're good at, finding out what you like, and finding out what makes you, because if you go back and you listen to the beginning of the Technobabble podcast from episode 1 all the way up till now, and even into the future, I imagine, it evolves, it changes. I'm constantly, I find things, I'm like, you know what, I don't really like the way I did that, I'm going to change that next time. Or you know what, I'm going to do this differently, and it kind of grows and forms into its own thing, really. And it's really kind of cool when you kind of see that the community starting to get behind you, and you kind of there's like a flashpoint where it kind of all, at least for me, became clear, and I'm like, yeah, that's what this is about. This is what I'm gonna do, and that's fucking awesome. And now I just got to do it, right?
Yeah.
So
that's always the hardest part. Yeah.
So okay, so I'm gonna ask you what I know a lot of guys out there who may be listening to this are thinking. All right, like Black Shell Media, you guys say you're affordable, you guys say you're reputable, and cool. Like I believe that. I just, there's a lot of people who might be in a boat where reaching out to someone like you guys or a marketing company isn't just, maybe that's not what they want. Maybe they want to do it themselves, right? Maybe that's their ambition, is to, hey, I want to do everything. I want this project to be 100% me. I want to do everything, including the marketing. So do you guys have like any kind of quick tips, right? I know we've talked a lot about, we've hit on a lot of this, but if you could kind of summarize it, and if I came to you and I said, okay, look, I got this game and I want to market it, right? It's an RPG, like fantasy role-playing game. What can you give me, like, just in, I don't know, 2 paragraphs or less, what's the most important things I should focus on when trying to get this game out there? Or, can you help? Can you give us some feedback on that?
This kind of harks back to what we talked about earlier about ego and pride and stuff. I'm sure, like you mentioned, sometimes it's a question of affordability, sometimes it's a question of, passion. But some people, like you said, they want to do it all. They want to be the CEO, the CTO, the CMO, the CFO, the CLO, everything, right? If you're looking at, traditional company structure. And most times that's not going to work out for you because you gotta, you're dabbling, you have like jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing, right? And you're trying to manage these contracts, but you're also trying to, run a business, but you're also trying to, find people to work for you. You're also trying to design a game, and you're trying to programming, and, you're trying to, it gets messy. And it's like, there's a really famous, a maxim that we like to, refer to. It's like, I'm not sure actually who said it, but it's kind of a proverb, if you will. I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. Bruce Lee said that, and that's like, it was Bruce Lee that said that. It was, it kind of just, goes back to that thing. It's like, find what you're good at and do it. Like, don't be hesitant to ask for help. Especially in a world like indie game marketing, where if you're doing something like, I don't know, like computer support, for example, right? And you are the best at cleaning up hard drives. I don't know. I'm just pulling shit. You're the best at cleaning up hard drives. And some guy comes to you and says, hey, do you know how to, install RAM or whatever? Those are kind of close enough, and you're kind of in the same vein where you could say like, oh yeah, sure, I could probably learn that, spend an hour on YouTube or whatever, and I can now, install RAM. Like, cool, good for you. But if you're in indie game marketing and, you're sitting there and you're a developer, for example, and your teammate is like, oh, I need someone to look over this contract. Like, are you a lawyer? Can you help me? Or are you like, do you have legal experience? Can you help me? It's hard to, let an hour-long YouTube video substitute for, 2 years of law school and a bar exam. So, there are moments you gotta kind of realize that there's only so much you can do yourself. The internet is fantastic. You have such amazing resources, how to use Game Maker, how to market a game, social media basics, PR, this and that and that. There's so many resources out there, but in the world of indie game marketing, where it's not even just like computer repair, you're not just doing kind of a certain set of things, you're all over the friggin' place. You're managing bank accounts, you're managing contracts, you're managing employees and growing your company and stock and equity and revenue and developing and everything. It gets to be a lot because it's also diverse. It's like people think, oh, running game, I'm going to develop games. Like, cool, I'm a program. Like, that's it. That's all you need to do. You program the game, done. At the end of the day, you get rich. No, that's not it. There's like, why do you think game development studios are so big? Because everyone is doing their own thing that they're good with, core competencies. And so, though, going back, I fucking digress a lot, but I don't care. It's fun to talk about.
Yeah, sure. That's what it's all about, man. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, it's like the one piece of advice is, don't overload yourself. Like, you may think you can do it all, but give it a try. Maybe you can do it all. Maybe the scope of your project is so small that sure you can, manage like 3 contracts. You can, grow a business, bank account, whatever it is. You can manage a phone line. That's fine. If you can do it comfortably, kudos to you. Teach me how. But don't bite off more than you can chew. I guess, it's trite, but it's true. It's a lot of people try, and like you said, it's like, I can do everything. And then it's not until, you're sitting up at 4 a.m, sleep deprived and delirious, saying that, oh my God, I can't do everything. And I'd hate to see people get to that point. Like, even you as a podcaster, even entrepreneurs just generally, you try to do it all, and you have to be able to do it all because you're small, but there has to be a limit. It's not even a question of, money. It's not even a question of kind of pride. It's a question of health and sanity.
Exactly.
You try to do everything, you're going to go fucking crazy.
Well, sure, and you mentioned that, and my original intent was to sit down with some friends and start talking and throw it up, and then eventually it started becoming quote unquote a thing and something I was really passionate about, and then I realized, what, if I really am passionate about this and I want to put my heart and soul in it, then I want to do it right, man. I want to get equipment. I want to produce content at least to the best. Maybe it's not comparable to some of the better podcasts out there, right? But if it's as good as I can do and I'm proud of it, then that's enough. But for me at least, I know that I can't do it all by myself. In fact, recently I've started, I'm teaming up with some different people, and I've even got future projects I'm working on. So
awesome.
I've got things that I'm working on, and I say this because I know there are people out there in the same boat. You're right. Even though you think you can do it all, like you just Twitter, the internet. It's like we said it again over and again. There's a lot of people. Twitter to me is and I've mentioned this before on podcasts, but I feel like Twitter reminds me of back in the late 90s, the AOL chat rooms. I kind of feel like that's what Twitter is today, because you can just reach out to anyone online, it feels like, and say, hey, what's up, and then you guys can have a fucking conversation, and the next thing you know, you're talking on a podcast or whatever it is, So yeah, reach out for help, because I've done it, and it really feels great when you can sit back and you're like, you know what, all I got to do is come in, do this 45 minute, 60 minute, hour and a half long, however long it is, thing that I do, in my case, podcasting. And then, I can sit back, edit it, or send it to my guys to edit it, and leave it to my guys to post my Facebook shit, or to have people to support you and to kind of team up with you takes so much load off of your shoulders. Teamwork is important, and it's so easy to do. And on top of all that, I think, I don't know what you guys think about this, but I think that having a team will help your project grow faster, because now more people are involved. And so if more people are involved, that's more Twitter accounts, that's more Facebook accounts, that's more, words coming out of more people's mouths about the project, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know, Daniel, would you like to talk about, I know we talk a lot about, motivation and kind of self-motivation, and how as an entrepreneur you're kind of directly responsible for your own success. But having kind of a team around you to share that success and to know that, we built this together is kind of fantastic, right, Daniel?
Yeah, it's definitely like a different experience, working with other people versus, just doing everything by yourself. Because when you're by like yourself, you can't really, bounce ideas off of, people. You're basically stuck in your own little bubble, and, your ideas and thoughts are uncontested. So like if you have a terrible idea, well, you might run with it, because like that's basically all all you know. So definitely having a diverse range of opinions is very, very powerful.
Yeah, it's like, imagine that no one told you about sexual contraceptives, and you got an STD, and it's like, well, fuck, no one told me I had to use a condom. Like, I thought it was a good idea just to go sleep with everyone, without protection. And now I really fucking regret that,
Yeah.
But, so, I mean, I guess in kind of a weird way, it's similar to that.
It's a good analogy. I never thought about it. But yeah, video game marketing is kind of like sex.
Hey, I think, everything can be related to sex in some way, But anyway, that's me.
Freud, come on.
Oh, okay. We're running out of time here, but I want to ask you guys a couple more follow-up things before we hit the road.
Sure.
So one of the things, like, video games, I'm very, like I said, I support independent game developers, but not just video games. Like, I've talked to people who make tabletop games or card games, like, physical board games, right? Mm-hmm. Do you guys dabble in that at all, or do you guys stick strictly to digital video games?
So as a game designer myself, I totally started off, creating board games, creating card games, back when I was younger, and definitely if like a board game, developer wants to like reach out and have us help him, then go ahead and shoot us an email.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, actually we've kind of ran out of time. It happened so quick. It feels like. But Ragav, Daniel, thank you guys so much for coming on the podcast and talking about what you guys do.
Thank you.
Hey, no problem. Thank you, man, so much. I wanted to give you guys this opportunity. Do all the shout outs you want, do all the plugs you want. The floor is yours now, guys.
Sure. So we're Black Shell Media. I'm Ragav Mathur. This is Daniel Doan, my partner. We do business together and market video games. Check us out at blackshellmedia.com. Follow us on Twitter at blackshellmedia. Like us on Facebook. Give me 1 second. Daniel, take it from here.
No problem.
Yeah, so basically, you can check us out on Twitter at Blackshell Media. You can check out our Facebook page, Blackshell Games, and you can go on blackshellmedia.com to check out all of our awesome blog posts and marketing tips.
Awesome. So, hey guys out there, if you're listening and you got a project you're working on and you're thinking about taking it to the next level, all I'm asking is go give these guys a shot, man. At least check them out. Look at their shit, see what they can do for you, and shoot them an email, man. They'll say they'll talk to you for free. They'll give you a free consultation, so you can't
Absolutely.
fucking beat that, man. Fucking check them out. Give them, if you're passionate about what you do and you really want to take it to the next level, these guys can help you out. So make sure you guys do that. Thank you guys so much for listening to this edition of the Technobabble podcast. Once again, thank you guys, Black Shell Media, for being my guest this week. And to all you guys out there listening right now, just remember, kids, life's too short. Do the shit that makes you happy.
This concludes the Technobabble podcast. If you would like to leave feedback, please send us an email to the Technobabble podcast at gmail.com, or feel free to reach out to us via Twitter at the Technobabble. Thanks for listening. See you next time.